Okay, and we are live, so let's go ahead and let me share my screen. Okay, hello and welcome everyone to this webinar where we're going to be talking about healthy, simple, gluten-free meal planning for everyone. And my name is Anna Laura Brown, and my blog is annalaurabrown.com. And that is where I share a lot of recipes, other tips, hints, and other things to help you with a gluten-free lifestyle, as well as I do a lot of dairy-free and other recipes for people with allergies, asthma, digestive issues, autism, that kind of thing. Okay, so let's start by talking a little bit about me. So yes, that's my most recent professional picture and the profile picture that I use on all of my social media profiles. So as I said, my name is Anna Laura Brown and my blog is at annalaurabrown.com. And I am a certified health coach. I received my training at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition and graduated in June 2014. And as I said, I specialize in helping people with food allergies and or food sensitivities and other kinds of allergies, asthma, and digestive issues, helping with diets, meal planning, that kind of thing. However, I actually don't cook food for people. A lot of health coaches will sometimes get into the business of becoming chefs and actually cooking food for people. And while I like to cook, kind of, and I like to teach people how to cook, I really don't want to ever get into the business of actually doing the meals for people. That's just not my cup of tea, so to speak. And also a couple of other facts about me. I actually used to be a librarian. That was what I originally went to school to do. And so, now I'm doing this. I have still a few other part-time side jobs that hopefully I'll only have for another year or so while I build up my health coaching practice. And what else? Yeah, so I have known for years and years that gluten really bothered me and officially went gluten-free in April 2013. So I've been completely gluten-free for almost 3 years now, and it's completely transformed my life. But to say that it was hard in the beginning was an understatement. I don't know how people who think they're giving it up just to lose weight or for some fad diet actually do it. In fact, I really don't think they really do totally give up gluten. Because when you find out that you absolutely have to, yeah, it's a whole other issue in and of itself. So anyway, the purpose of this webinar tonight is going to be to talk to you about how to make simple yet delicious and healthy gluten-free meals that even your kids will want to eat. And even if you have a child who's a picky eater, even that child will want to eat the food. So let's get started. Okay, so why healthy, simple meal planning? So for starters, you can limit processed foods. There's a lot of gluten-free foods out there that are junk. It's where they've just kind of taken the gluten out of the processed food, but it's still processed food. So things like TV dinners and frozen pizza and things like that, it may say gluten-free, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. Okay, and then also to help you eat healthier, and let's face it, we're all busy. We don't have all day to sit there and spend time on our meal planning. And eating gluten-free can seem complicated, especially in the beginning when you're not used to it and you don't know exactly what to look for, how to read labels, that kind of thing. Okay, so what is the number one gluten-free problem that people have? My personal experience is that they spend a lot more money than necessary for food that isn't as healthy as it should be. So, they get carried away and spend a lot of money on the foods labeled gluten-free without actually learning how to cook from scratch and making food that would be healthier and, quite frankly, cheaper. And I also find that it's a myth that people say the gluten-free diet is more expensive. Well, it's only more expensive if you go buy gluten-free bread and pasta and all the replacements for the counterparts that have gluten in them. If you actually learn how to eat simple, healthy meals and you're not buying a lot of processed food, then it's actually not more expensive. In fact, it may even be less expensive. Okay, so what is wrong with a lot of gluten-free meals? So number one, they often have too much sugar, corn, and processed oils. And I probably should even add on to that, a lot of times they have too much rice as well. In case you weren't aware, a lot of kinds of rice actually have arsenic in them. And while a mild amount is okay, you really need to be careful. And so you really don't want to overdo it on rice either. And that is a common mistake and problem that a lot of people have when they go gluten-free. And or number two, they require unusual ingredients and can be hard to find. So, you need to cook up your meals with things that you've probably never heard of and things that you may be scouring 4 different grocery stores trying to find. Okay. So you won't get any of that with me. And they end up costing more than meals made with wheat and other gluten items. So, and back to that as a number two, the more ingredients that you use that are more unusual, that are not things that are sold in common grocery stores and that a lot of people buy, the more, costly they're going to be. And there's nothing wrong with maybe experimenting every once in a while, but still, you want to be careful to not end up spending too much money or more than is necessary. Okay, so what should be in your cupboard or kitchen? So in order to cook some simple, healthy, gluten-free meals, the top 3 items that I recommend that you keep in your cupboard are number 1, quinoa, number 2, brown rice, and number 3, a variety of fresh or frozen vegetables. And yes, I did say frozen. And you really could do canned vegetables as well. I didn't include canned on here just because personally I think either fresh or frozen are the best. Canned, can be okay, but canned, a lot of times they do add things to canned vegetables and they just really aren't ideal. And personally, I found that you can get frozen vegetables in a variety for really inexpensive at a lot of grocery stores. For example, here in Utah, it's called Smith's, but at a lot of other stores in other states, especially if you're on the East Coast or the Midwest, it's actually called Kroger. They run a lot of specials where their 16-ounce bags of frozen vegetables are only $1. So I like to stock up and keep a lot of those on hand for cooking a lot of simple, healthy meals. Okay, so what are the best spices or condiments to keep on hand? So the spices and condiments can actually have a lot of gluten in them and can actually be kind of a bigger issue than a lot of people realize when they first start going gluten-free. However, these are some basics that I like to keep on hand that you won't find gluten in. So number 1 is coconut oil. So, for frying, using in dressings, things like that. Same with olive oil. And, you really could do other oils too, like almond oil, avocado oil, sunflower oil, things like that. But they're, they vary in price and can get kind of expensive. Coconut and olive tend to be 2 of the better oils, and they also tend to be 2 of the least expensive. However, you also don't want to, and I should have added this in, but you don't want to be buying canola oil. Canola oil is very highly processed and is actually also can cause a lot of inflammation and can even be a cross reactor to gluten in a lot of people. So you really want to stay clear from the canola oil or the straight vegetable oil. Because even though that is actually the cheapest, you just really don't want to use that. Okay, the number 3 is lemon and pepper spice. So usually it will be lemon and black pepper. And that's just a classic must-have in my opinion. It tastes really good when you flavor fish and chicken with that. And then number 4 is an herbes de Provence spice. So this one may be a little bit harder to find depending on the store you're at. Typically it has some combinations of basil and thyme and a few other things. It originated in France, but has really good flavoring again for fish and chicken dishes. Okay, then basil and cilantro as well are also really good to have on hand. Okay, so what are the best kitchen tools? So the first thing that I recommend is a nice chopper. And my favorite chopper is actually from Tupperware. And it's kind of expensive. It's about $65. But, if you know somebody that sells Tupperware, you could potentially host a party and get it free or, half price or whatever. This is not a pitch for Tupperware, but I'm just saying that their chopper is really, really nice, even though somewhat pricey. And basically the way that one works is you just put your vegetables and things in a bowl and then you can just turn the handle and it will chop. Also, I believe Pampered Chef has one as well, and then there are a lot of kitchen stores that have them too. I recommend getting a more high-end one, so anything that costs less than $20 is probably not going to be as high quality as you want. Number 2 would be a high-quality blender, and personally my favorite brand is the Blendtec blenders. You can get one at Costco for usually about $250, so they are definitely on the higher end. You could also use a Vitamix, Or there are some other blenders that have come out, things like I'm trying to think what that's called now. All of a sudden just spaced what's called. But anyway, yeah, maybe I'll think of it. But there are some others that really Blendtec and Vitamix kind of rule the marketplace on those. And it seriously is one of the best investments that you will make. So you really do want to spend the money on it. And then a high quality cooking pan. And on that one, you want to make sure that you get one that does not have the Teflon stuff that is the non-stick that will peel off over time and get absorbed into your food. So you want it to be, you know, a high quality like metal, or, you know, something like, if you can afford it, something like Salad Master. Salad Master is really, really expensive though, so you may not want, you know, a pan like that. But the point is a decent high quality cooking and frying pan. Okay, so what else is useful? So number one would be a rice cooker. And even though it's called a rice cooker, I actually cook quinoa in it all the time. And you could do other whole grains, gluten-free grains, millet. You could cook in a rice cooker. You probably potentially could even cook vegetables in there. I'm not really sure. I haven't done that. But anyway, it's, you know, not one of the top kitchen tools that I have, but I definitely recommend having one. And then number two, a crock pot. So that's great for doing simple gluten-free recipes in the crock pot. And then number three, a nice sharp knife. Because the reality is that if you use duller and cheaper knives, you will actually cut yourself more than you will with a higher quality, little bit more pricier sharp knife. Okay, so basic formula for simple, healthy, gluten-free meals is this. Number one, use some kind of rice, quinoa, potato, or, you know, I didn't put it up there, but you could also do millet or amaranth or buckwheat or some other kind of a gluten-free grain of some kind, so some kind of a carb or starch. And then number two would be mixed vegetables, and number three, some kind of meat. Or as listed below, you can just do vegetables and meat and skip the rice or the quinoa or the potato. Or you could do vegetables and some kind of protein such as eggs. Personally, I like eating a lot of egg and vegetable omelets. I found that those taste really good and, you know, are really simple and really healthy. So just kind of a basic formula to keep in mind. So gluten-free flour. So for making bread, pancakes, waffles, etc., I recommend keeping things simple by buying a mix. And one of my favorite ones is the Bob's Red Mill mixes. Although there are others that are pretty good as well. There's one that is here local to Utah called Grandpa's Kitchen. There's also one called the Flour Mixes from Gluten Free Mama, and I believe that's glutenfreemama.com. And so, you know, there's a variety of them out there. Personally, I don't recommend trying to make your own, although you could. And there are a lot of recipes and things like that, especially on Pinterest is the #1 place to find those. Okay, so then if you want to learn a little bit more about how you can do simple gluten-free healthy cooking, you can get my free simple healthy gluten-free cooking guide at simplehealthycookingguide.com. Or you can also schedule a free wellness consultation with me at askanalara.com. And I want to say that my Simple Healthy Cooking guide that you can get there actually comes with 30 days of gluten-free, dairy-free, and sugar-free recipes, as well as very detailed instructions on how to do a lot of cooking and shopping for gluten-free, that kind of thing. And so, you know, hopefully you found this information helpful. I realize it's just a start. You know, I could have talked for hours and hours and elaborated on all the different things that you could do, different gluten meals, things like that, but wanted to keep this kind of a shorter, basic introduction to how to do simple, healthy, gluten-free meals. So hopefully you found the information helpful and that you will get in touch with me so that I can help you a little more with some personalized one-on-one. So